Hi everybody, Cheryl and Gramp here. If you don't know me, I am the creator of this group, Translating Spirit. I am also the founder of the How to Speak Spirit program, which is a 10-week intensive I can tell you about a little later. I'm a medium, I'm an intuitive reader, I'm a Reiki master. I was in the two groups, the Practice Readings Trading Post and Translating Spirit this morning. And a lot of the same comments came up that I've seen over and over again about I'm an empath, but I'm not a medium, or I'm a sensitive, but I'm not a medium, I'm an intuitive reader, but I don't work on a mediumistic level, etc. And I wanted to address that and some other things. And if you have any questions, you can put them right in the comments. And if I can't address them live, I will try to get to them whenever I can. For today, I really wanted to just come on and give you guys some free tips about how to embrace life as a sensitive. And so we're going to call this one 3 shifts for effective spirit communication, or living your best life as a sensitive. Hi, thanks for coming on. Good to see you guys. So the first shift that I would like to see people make is, so many people come to this group feeling like their sensitivity is a curse rather than a blessing. And that just kills me, because I know that sensitivity is a superpower. Now, I didn't always know that. So that's shift number 1, from a curse to a blessing. Now, a lot of us grew up being the different one. Some of us were shunned or bullied and so on. Some of us were just made to feel different. A lot of us were told by our parents or family members that we were too sensitive, that we needed to grow a thicker skin, that we took everything too seriously, that we felt too deeply, etc. And, so many of us heard those messages over and over again from well-meaning people most of the time, but it really left us with a sense of, something is wrong with me, or I'm different. And if you are different, it's in a great way, because you have a superpower. Your sensitivity is a superpower. Being an empath, an intuitive, a sensitive, a medium, however you want to classify yourself, to me, it's all under the umbrella term of Lightworker. You were, I don't even want to say put on this planet. You decided to come onto this planet at this time to make a positive difference. You came here to do some good. So please, let's get beyond that, that label of being different or sensitive as a negative thing. This is your superpower. This is what you came here to do. Hi, Christine. Hi, everybody. So, like I said, a lot of us grew up in this role where we were taken advantage of because we were sensitive, or we felt like the black sheep of the family, the one who could never, quite do anything right. We're just too emotional and all that. And we have those nagging voices that we still deal with sometimes. A lot of sensitives and empaths tend to walk around with issues like anxiety and depression because of that upbringing. And I have to tell you, it's time that we take our power back, because we have an important job to do here on the planet. We have really important work to do. If you didn't know, there is a shift going on, and I'm sure some of you guys have felt it. There's this nagging, this calling. A lot of you guys are seeing, 9/11 or 11/11 and 333 and all these other numbers, and you're like, what does it mean? And all this stuff is going on, and synchronicity, and you're just kind of like, what is going on? I feel like something's supposed to be happening. It is. There's a shift happening on this planet right now, and we are part of the force that is bringing the light. That's what we do as light workers. Whether you're a card reader, medium, whatever, a healer, you do Reiki, all of you guys in this group that are drawn to these topics that we are discussing in this group, you have a positive role to play in the shift that's happening on this planet at this time. So let's start seeing our sensitivity as a superpower, as a blessing. Hi, Jamie. Because it really is. Now, it's time for us to step into our power. What keeps us from doing that a lot of times is fear. So part of that is the sort of collective unconscious fear that people have that I think comes from the times when witches were burned at the stake, and we have this kind of subconscious leftover fear of persecution, and our childhood experiences in some cases fed into that. Okay, it's time to get over that fear too, and this is shift number 2. We want to take it from fear to fascination. We are blessed to live in a period of time when mediums are celebrated. I'm sure a lot of you with me were watching John Edward and Crossing Over. I'm sure a lot of you guys have watched The Hollywood Medium and Teresa Caputo, the Long Island Medium, and so on. Now there's a show on The Healer. People are starting to recognize the important work that we do as mediums and as healers. And it's being celebrated on TV. So there's, no more need of this fear of being outcast and burned at the stake and all that. I do understand where it comes from, and it's a very real thing, but it's time to shed that. We're moving into a new era, and it's one where we're going to be supported not only by our guides, but by people in general most of the time as we step out into our power as empaths and sensitives. So, thank God we're alive now, because it's a wonderful time to be a medium or to be a sensitive. Let's look at some of the other fears real quick, because like I said, shift number 2 is going from fear to fascination. I had some fears because I used to feel spirit as a child. I'm sure some of you guys can relate. In fact, I remember sleeping with my light on even as a teenager because I just felt stuff. I didn't necessarily always see it. I saw stuff from time to time. We heard stuff in the house from time to time, but mostly I just had this feeling like somebody was in the room with me or somebody was watching. And I know a lot of people get that, and they get very frightened of it. And part of that is societal, especially in this country. I don't know about elsewhere, but people tend to watch a lot of scary movies about the paranormal and what, the spirit world is really about. And it really clouds our judgment, and in most cases makes people jump to conclusions when they do feel a spirit presence, that they get this idea that it's something scary. And that is usually not true. Most of the time when you have a spirit that wants to communicate with you, it's a loved one on the other side who wants to say, hey, it's me, Grandpa. I just wanted to tell you, I still love you, and we don't really die, and congratulations on the baby or the house or the diploma or whatever is going on in your life, because they still are aware of what goes on, in our lives. I saw that, Alicia. I'm glad you can relate. So, most of our fear is unwarranted. Are there earthbound spirits? Yes, usually they're just confused. In short, I have to say, like, the spirit world is pretty much like here at the lower levels, at least on the astral, the parts that can bleed through into our physical reality. Are there some jerks? Yeah, there are a few, but with humans, most of the people you meet are really pretty good people. They're pretty decent. Most of the time with spirit communication, if you are sensing a spirit around you in your house, it's completely benign, harmless, often well-meaning. Once in a while, a lost soul that needs help. And a lot of the fear that people have and the feeling that there's something dark is really just our own minds or our conditioning because of scary movies, etc. And, negative thought projections, really. So, I have to tell you, the fear for me, I thought, as a kid, I was fascinated. We did seances with my cousins when I was little. And, at one time I even had a Ouija board. I wouldn't recommend that for people right now. But, I wanted to make contact with something beyond the physical world. Even as a child, I was fascinated with it. But I was also really scared of it. And there's my Aunt Millie. Aunt Millie, I was just talking about how the cousins always used to do seances in the basements at family parties and stuff. We always had that fascination, but there was also a lot of fear attached to it. Like if something would happen, you would get all freaked out. So when I started thinking about going to study mediumship, I was like, oh my God, am I going to be scared? Am I going to, see things that scare me? And I have to tell you, from the moment I stepped foot into my first mediumship development circle with Lee Van Zyl, the South African medium, I sat circle with her for years in New Jersey. From that first moment that I made a commitment to actually study mediumship officially, it has been nothing but a beautiful experience. So, that's why I want to help other people make that shift instead of being freaked out and spooked by spirit contact. I want you to see spiritual contact for what it is, which is a beautiful communication with our loved ones in spirit and a very healing experience. Like I said in the other live I did this morning, or a little bit earlier in the Practice Readings Trading Post, a lot of people have told me that one good session with a medium has done more for them than years in therapy, because when you really bring through some information that is right on, that is evidence that you really are talking to somebody's loved one on the other side, and you bring through a message that resonates along with that evidence, you just see this huge weight lifted. It's the most healing thing I've seen, and that's what has inspired me to continue not only doing mediumship, but to teach mediumship, because I have such a passion for creating that kind of a change in somebody's life. When you can sit down with somebody for an hour, facilitate some communication with the world of spirit, and they leave with faith that their loved ones aren't really dead, that life goes on after death, and that those we love are still connected to us with bonds of love and still are aware of what's going on in our lives, there's nothing more healing than that. So, what else keeps us from going forward? Okay, I know a lot of you have seen mediums on TV or gone to shows and stuff and have been fascinated. What keeps people from stepping forward and studying mediumship? Number one, a lot of people don't realize that's how mediums develop. A lot of people say, oh, she has a gift and I don't have that gift. Well, that's not true. We're all spirit-based beings, okay? We are all creatures of spirit, and we're inhabiting human bodies temporarily, okay? So you have the same ability to connect with spirit that anybody else does, and it's really a matter of developing that skill. Now, some people are just a little more naturally attuned to that kind of thing, just like some people pick up a guitar or a piano, touch a piano and can sort it out and sort of play their first song without a whole lot of training. And some people really have to work at it and take some lessons. We do have those differences in how we communicate and in our skill set, but we all have the same equipment. You can all tune into spirit for yourself. And that's really why I want to teach mediumship instead of just doing readings, because I want to, it's like they say, give a man a fish and he eats for a day, right? I'm not different than you are. I want to help you be able to communicate with spirit for yourself and have the experience for yourself, because I got to tell you, when I went to my first mediumship development circle, I was really coming at it with a bit of skepticism, which skepticism is healthy. Closed-mindedness is not, but a bit of healthy skepticism is a good thing. When I first went to circle, I wasn't sure what I was going to find. I was curious to see, are these people learning cold reading techniques and, how to pull the wool over people's eyes, or are they really, sincere spiritual seekers? And I was very happy with what I saw. And year after year, I saw all these people in a mediumship development circle week after week, working with their spirit guides and practicing to develop the skills and the finesse that are required to do a good mediumistic reading and bring through evidence of those on the other side that we're communicating with. Even for the people that are quote unquote natural mediums, doing a good job at delivering the information that you're getting takes a little bit of finesse. And even the best mediums that I know continue learning with other mediums and continue to hone their skills. So I'm going to take a look at some of your questions in a little bit. I see questions popping up from time to time, but I kind of want to stay with my idea on the 3 shifts here. So we talked about taking it from feeling like it's a curse to be a sensitive, to knowing that it's a blessing, and that, we have this gift so that we can help other people. We have an important job to do. We talked about going from fear to fascination. Some of the other fears that we have are, not only do we fear failure, like, what if I try and I get it wrong? We all have that. And from time to time, you will interpret something wrong. It's something that I help you work on in my course, and it comes with practice and with coaching. We also fear success. Like, what if I find out I'm a really good medium and I got to go on stage and do, be like John Edward, or, start giving readings like Long Island Medium. I don't know if I can do that. Spirit will encourage you. Spirit will not force you to do something you really don't want to do. But, we grow when we choose to step a little bit outside of our comfort zones. That's where the growth happens. So, change is the only constant, and you have to be willing to move forward in life and, kind of see it as an adventure. And that brings me to my third shift, which is feeling like a passenger on the crazy train to being in the driver's seat on your own spiritual adventure. Like I said, a lot of us grew up feeling like the weird one. There were posts in the group yesterday and today about those of us who affect electronics. I was one of those. Light bulbs would blow and stuff like that when I was younger. I could never wear a watch. I would get a watch fixed, and within a couple days it wouldn't keep time again. Like, I could never wear a watch. And I used to say, before I knew I was a medium or anything, I used to say, I have a weird electromagnetic energy. I don't know. And I was the only one that I knew that was like that. And I also had, experiences that happened to me that nobody else in my life could validate until I got to my first mediumship development circle. And then people were like, oh yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. And that's the beauty of a group like this, is that you are surrounded with other people who are like-minded, who have had a lot of the same experiences. So, it's an honor to have brought this group together, and, I want to help us to move forward and to really get our skills out there in the world and start doing some good on the planet and create that positive ripple effect. So let's see, passenger on the crazy train. I like to talk about this one story. I call it my Ethiopia moments. People have eureka moments. I have Ethiopia moments where something will just pop into my head and I won't know why. One of the really memorable ones was I was in the car driving to school and I just heard in my head Ethiopia, and I had no idea why. And I was like, Ethiopia, what does that mean? Well, I got to school and turned on the computer, and the news story that was front page was that there had been, unfortunately, a terrorist attack in Ethiopia. And I hadn't had the radio on or the TV on or anything. I had no way of knowing that. It just kind of came to me. So, those are those moments when sometimes people get a little bit freaked out. I've had a lot of moments when I heard something in my head and said it and freaked somebody else out. If you're not expecting it, people can get creeped out about that stuff. To me, it's fun now. I don't ask for news of bad events happening. I don't tend to get that information in. But the fact that it happened, we kind of wonder, like, well, what was I supposed to do with that information? Like, what good does it do me to know that something was going on in Ethiopia if I can't do anything to prevent it? To me, this is the reason for it. It's a glimpse of that eternal reality beyond the 3D world, okay, where there is no time and there is no space. And we are all connected at some level with that world beyond the 3D. And when we have those Ethiopia moments, we have that bleed through and we know something's going to happen, and it happens. Mostly I see that as, Spirit's way, or our higher self's way of putting us in touch with that higher reality beyond the 3D world. And we can do some good with that connection. We can do a lot of good with that connection if we develop it and we learn to control it. So how do we do that? Like I mentioned before, most mediums will develop in circles. So week after week, we sit circle and we practice with each other. We bring through each other's loved ones, and it's nice because you get to have readings too. You get to be in touch with your loved ones on the other side as you're bringing through messages for somebody else. But your spirit guides will work with you, especially when you make that commitment to sit on a regular basis. Maybe it's an hour a week that you devote to developing your mediumship. That's how mediums develop. And there are also workshops. You may have one in your area. Look for a spiritualist church. If you're in New Jersey, there's the Journey Within. They do a lot of great workshops. They bring over some of the best mediums in the world from Arthur Findlay College in England, where we're going to be visiting in June. Even experienced mediums continue to develop through workshops with more experienced mediums and different people who work in different ways. And you're always sort of adding to your repertoire of skills and solidifying the connection that you have with the spirit world. It takes time and it takes an investment in yourself. But if this is something that is a passion for you and a fascination for you, and you have that desire to use your sensitivity to develop that into the art of mediumship in order to help other people heal from the pain of grief and the fear of loss and the fear of death, I can help you to get in the driver's seat of your own spiritual adventure, like I said, and to, hone your skills so that you can do some good in the world with that sensitivity. Let's see. I'm going to get to some of your questions in a little bit. Let me just say about the events that we have going on. We will be doing some separate workshops over the fall in Translating Spirit. We also have a couple of events that are starting again in September. September 10th is a new session of How to Speak Spirit. That's my 10-week intensive. That is specifically for beginners, but those who want to take a giant leap on the spiritual path. So it starts with energy basics. It goes to intuitive readings. And then the last third of the course is Foundations of Evidential Spiritual Mediumship. And then from there, you can graduate into our intermediate mediumship development circle, which is held on Monday nights online. We start at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. So we do that weekly and we practice with each other. I bring in guest sitters and, if you are someone who already has done an unfoldment course or you've sat circle for a little bit and you have some experience, you know how to connect with spirit, you're welcome to join the intermediate course. If you're a beginner, I really suggest that you start with the basic course. That's the 10-week intensive. The course is video based, so you can go through the material, about 2 hours worth of material every week on your own schedule. And then I do live coaching with you once a week minimum. And then we have some calls at certain points throughout the program to make sure that you're on track. And I'm available to you, as is the online community, the How to Speak Spirit members group, which is a private group on Facebook where you guys can reach out and do practice sessions with each other and so on. We do all kinds of cool readings and we have a lot of fun. And it's really nice to be a part of that kind of community of supportive individuals who are having similar experiences. There's so much synchronicity that goes on in that group that it's just magical. And I'm so proud to be a part of that. If you are not sure whether that How to Speak Spirit 10-week course is for you, please reach out to me via Messenger and I'll be happy to schedule a complimentary discovery call with you. We can talk on the phone to see if it's right for you and if you're a good candidate for the program. I really hope that you take advantage of some of these classes and trips and so on. Like I said, reach out to me if you want to talk more about the details of the programs that I offer. Keep your notifications on, check the events tab because we'll have lots of good stuff going on for you guys. It's the thing is, you can't just wait for mediumship to happen to you. You kind of have to make an investment in yourself and be willing to sit down and take the time and work with your guides and do the work to develop those skills. But it's really something that's accessible to all of us. So don't think that, you're not good enough. You are more than enough. You are a creature of spirit, just like everybody else on this planet. And you have every right to connect with spirit for yourself, and I can help you do that. So, what questions do you guys have before we go? Let's see. Lisa said I have Ethiopia moments a lot. The trick is now controlling them and connecting when you want to connect instead of, spirit just, giving you those little zingers here and there. You can learn to control it so that you have times when you are sort of open for business and times that you're not, so that you control the connection. Ghosts. What about ghosts? Are they only here because they don't know they're dead? I think most earthbound spirits are a little confused and could use some help getting to the light. Oh, there I am. Okay. There are some beings, let's say, that are in the lower astral that are purposely crossing over into this world. And some of them, like I said, every once in a while you meet a real jerk. There are those malicious beings that like to inspire fear and they feed off the fear. So that's very rare. When you're studying mediumship, one of the first things you learn is setting intention and connecting with those of higher vibrations. So you're not going to be dealing with those peskier beings, at least most of the time. And should you encounter them, I know some of you in this group have had experiences that frightened you in your homes and what have you. Even if they're beings that are not nice, you still shouldn't fear them because that's exactly what they want. So they feed on your fear. What you need to do is take your power back and set boundaries and control your space and your energy and tell them in no certain terms that they must leave. If they are not, of the light and they're not a loved one of yours, they have no business being in your face. So you have to stand your ground and set your boundaries and stick to them. I have to say, since I started studying mediumship officially, I haven't had any issues with things frightening me in my house. I told somebody about recently, there was a toy when I came home from Circle, there was a toy sitting on the table that started singing, "Hello, how are you today?" Nobody had touched it. Could have been the battery got wet, or it could have been a spirit saying hi. I don't know. But at one time that might have freaked me out. It didn't feel freaky to me then. And the only spirit that I've had wake me up in the middle of the night is my dad, and he gets a free pass. He's allowed. So, most of the time it's really just a lovely experience, and I hope that that's how you guys perceive the art of spirit communication. It shouldn't be frightening. How do I know if spirit is talking to me or if what I'm thinking are my own thoughts? One of the things that we work on in the course is developing a closer relationship with our spirit guides and, knowing when they're around and when they're working with you and feeling the difference between, what's your own headspace and what is spirit communication. And that's one of the things that I can coach you through. It does take some practice, but we work on that quite extensively in the course. Let's see. Karen is saying, my dad would check in on us nightly when he first passed. Karen, did you see him visibly or did you just know he was there? So a lot of people think that mediums all see spirits like you see me. And usually we don't. We usually get images in our mind's eye. So we're using our psychic senses. So those of you who do intuitive readings and you get, images in your head, they're kind of like memories or daydreams. That's kind of usually how you see clairvoyantly. We usually don't see somebody standing there like they're in the physical. Let's see. Giselle said she had the same experience when her Grams passed away. So, see, it's nice of those loved ones to let their family know that they're still okay, right? It should be, seen as a friendly visit and not as something scary. But we're sort of so conditioned to thinking that, paranormal is spooky and frightening. It really shouldn't be. It's a beautiful thing. So, let's see. Karen said she didn't see him, but he got a scent. You would smell the cigar. That is one of the ways that spirit communicates. So, guys, if you are smelling somebody's perfume or, the beer they used to drink or the cigarettes they used to smoke or whatever, when there's no reason to be smelling those things in the physical world, that's one of the ways that spirit uses to communicate and to give us a little high. People will also get coins in places where they weren't before, like some people say pennies from heaven. Some people always get dimes and they know that's their grandma or whatever. And, they turn up in the weirdest places and so on. There are all kinds of ways that spirit uses to communicate with us. And it's a beautiful thing. My Aunt Millie here says, my late husband touched my shoulder and my daughter's. My cousin, Giselle says, my cousin would smell my Gram's perfume the whole week after my Gram's passing. Yeah. I did a mediumship gallery one time, and my grandfather came through, Poppy, on my mom's side. And I got some stuff and I brought through some information for my mom who was there. And then in the car on the way home, I said to Poppy, I'm surprised that I didn't smell cigarettes because he smoked and I was associated that smell of cigarettes with him. Well, for the whole rest of the ride home, it was like somebody was blowing cigarette smoke right in my face. My eyes were tearing. I had to open the window. Nothing helped. And it was like he was saying, you want cigarette smoke? Here you go. I couldn't stop smelling it after that. It's been an interesting journey, I'll tell you. So I can tell you a lot of funny stories. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this, and I hope to see a lot of you in the classes that we have coming up. Best way to reach me, guys, is Messenger. I get a ton of messages a day, but eventually I do catch up. It's good to spend some time with you guys. Blessings on your journeys, and let me know how I can help you. Love you guys. Bye-bye.